Oh, good day, folks. Thought I'd take you on a ride and show you what it's like riding in winter conditions. I rode yesterday as well in the fresh snowfall. So I thought I'd contrast yesterday's day to today's, which is more typical after they've cleared the roads and the pathways. You know, most of you typically live in cities that have a mandate to clear the paths and the roads within a certain space of time after a snowfall. So be realistic. You're not riding on snow-covered ground most of the time. So the temperature is about 2 degrees Celsius. Feels a little warmer than that, actually. So it's chilly. The biggest issue with riding in the winter is getting your clothing right. Obviously layer, but breathability is a big issue. My base layers are merino wool, and that's long johns base layer and under my jacket. My mid layer is also merino wool. My jacket, cycling jacket, is more like a soft shell with a fleece. I'm not happy with it. I've got another one on order. This one's not breathable. Well, not sufficiently breathable for my liking. My socks, I use my skiing socks, which are also made of merino wool. And my shoes are waterproof. But when it gets beyond -5 Celsius, I use neoprene toe warmers, I think they are. This gives my toes a little bit more insulation. Hands are going to probably need hand warmers as it gets colder. Currently I use a thin pair of gloves which are inners for my skiing gloves. They seem to work fine. And then I've got these bar mitts which work very well. As for the bike itself, it doesn't really need much additional maintenance. I'll wipe the bike down after a ride. And the big issue is the chain. Keep the chain in the drivetrain cleaned, lubricated. Use a dry lube because of the snow and ice. Other than that, nothing special. I allow the battery to come up to room temperature before I charge. Research shows that charging a cold battery puts it under pressure. I don't want to damage my battery, so I just wait a little bit before I charge. The biggest change is your style of riding. You really need to concentrate on your center of gravity. This tree hasn't been moved yet. Because traction is a big deal. I think people overthink it too much, with studded tires and so forth. They work very, very well in certain circumstances, but not all. So you don't have to incur the expenditure. For the most part, pathways are going to be like this, dry or partially covered with snow and ice. But the cities generally clean the pathways within 24 to 48 hours. The big deal is in the corners. You need to watch out. Wet leaves and ice, and keep the bike as upright as possible. And when you're going through bends, put your weight on the outside pedal. It helps improve the traction. Other than that, it's pretty much business as usual. There's the police. They don't have e-bikes. They're surprising. They really should get them. Like most cities, we've got a homelessness problem. It's only getting worse. I made a video about the Peace Bridge being vandalized. And I remember saying in there, if they don't get a grip on it, it's just going to get worse. Yeah, the pathway is nice and dry today. Like I said, I'll contrast this with yesterday's, and you'll see the difference. People will comment, why are you breathless? Why do you struggle up hills? That's why you bought an e-bike. Well, yes and no. I bought it as my form of exercise, and primarily to get me into locations where I can take photographs. But of course, in exercising, it means I can ride further. So I didn't actually buy it not to put in an effort. So you can see with this road surface, it's still wet. So you got to watch the leaves and watch for ice in the bends. And like I said, just put your weight on the outside pedal. Personally, I don't mind when it's a little bit cold. Less people on the pathways. And you don't overheat. Nice windy sections here. You really can't speed through them now. ice. There's people that get alarmed when you ring the bell, when it's actually etiquette to let them know that you're coming. So when I'm riding over ice, I don't like to put a lot of torque into my chain. So I'll up my pass level, maybe 1 or 2 steps, so that I'm lightly pedaling and concentrate on keeping the bike upright so there's no excess movement. Otherwise, it's quite easy to slip out. I'm back because this trail's got a lot more debris to deal with. This is obviously quite typical, where the side that doesn't get much sun doesn't melt. And once it gets a collection, it'll stay like that. But as I said, the city cleans the pathway. I just don't think they've been down here yet. The upside is the asphalt absorbs the radiation in the day from the sun and heats up, helps melt the snow. So the other part of my outfit is I use a neck tube, keep my face warm in my neck, and a toque or a beanie under my helmet. When it gets more cold than this, I swap out my cycling helmet for my snowboarding helmet, and then I use skiing goggles. I often carry extra gloves and whatever in my bag, just in case the conditions change radically while I'm out. If you see a shiny patch in the winter, you have to assume it's ice and just keep the bike upright. We've got an uphill stage here, a ramp, a bridge ramp. We'll see how that goes. It's all thawed out. Nice. Yesterday it was a bit iced over. This downhill section yesterday was completely iced over. Amazing. Why don't you just take the whole road? The other thing I do, if I'm going to ride in wet conditions, rain or snow, I cover the battery with a waterproof cover. It provides a little bit of insulation for the battery, seals it for the most part from moisture that may splash onto it. And then the underside of the battery, I cover with like a cling wrap film, snap and seal, I think it is. Works very well. And then if it's raining, I cover my display with a Ziploc. That's about the extent of preparing my bike. But I find my battery range does drop 10 or 20% when it's really cold. I had to walk across this bridge yesterday. The ice was so bad. Nice, they've cleaned it. I'm about to stop for my coffee break. It's not far from here. Here's a couple.